done. It's okay. Next time.
Sir, we see Russia president, Burkina Faso president, even Okonjo-Iweala and also some world leaders picking Biafraland to build World Trade Organization African headquarters, and even the Russian embassy. Why is all of these things coming to Biafraland?
Embassy of the Federation of Russia, that's how we located in Aba, and it was an official statement from Vladimir Putin. You know, and he stated it very clearly that embassy of the office of the Russia, you know, embassy of Russia, you know, will be located, you know, of the Federation, embassy of the Federation of Russia. That their embassy will be located in Aba, Biafraland. And why specifically choosing Aba? I repeat, I'm talking about the core, you know, Biafraland, you know. And secondly, at the same time, we are seeing series of meetings ongoing within the top class of the business world. Like we heard that Elon Musk is also going to invest massively on airports, building of international airports in Biafran land, considering the fact that the Biafran land is closer to the Atlantic in less than few nautical miles to the Atlantic. And I can tell you, in the maritime navigation, if you want to, you first of all, you know, get to Biafran land before you move to Lagos. So we have more waters in Lagos, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the celebration that is going on as these two powerful projects are being located in Biafra land. We also heard that in the process that the Biafran government also signed a recognition pact with Russian government, you know, federation. And then let me use the word federation because it's the Federation of Russia. You know, it's not funny, but it's real. You know, it calls for a lot of celebration. It tells you that, you know, Biafrans are not terrorists. Biafrans are resilient people, and the world have come to identify with the Igbo spirit. The world have come to celebrate the Biafran resilience and success and support, you know, over the years. So if you, Russia is one of the respected nations around the world, one of the most powerful nations around the world, I can tell you that, you know, and for them to have agreed to move their embassy to, you know, Biafra land, it tells you that a lot of things are being carried out, a lot of things are happening behind the scene, and especially Dr. Ngozi, of course, one of our own, who happens to be the President General of the World Trade, you know, Organization, you know, Okonjo-Iweala, relocating. I think that will be the first headquarters in Africa, WHO headquarters in Africa. World Trade Organization headquarters will be relocated to the same Aba again. So a lot of things are coming to Aba, and that's why you can see the speed at which, you know, the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, is warming up for the reality on ground. A lot of things are opening up in preparation that Biafra takeoff is likely going to be very smooth. Russia signals the recognition of Biafra. Vladimir Putin wants, and that's a direct message to, you know, the global world, especially, you know, now we are seeing it very clearly that Russia has joined the support, solidarity, you know, for Biafra.
A lot of people are also saying, why is the Deputy Prime Minister of Biafraland, Ngozi Orabueze, Why is she coming out so frequently this time around, saying that she has submitted necessary documents to every international bodies to ensure the recognition of Biafra? Why is she doing all of this?
Yes, it's very influential currently now, and acting on the authorities and the will of Nnamdi Kanu. You can know that the slogan has now changed. It's now IPOB, Biafra government in exile. So there's a collaboration now because the forces have come to join together, and because our representative seems to be operating in that regard. So what that actually means at this point is that Ngozi Arembeze herself, hasn't been very active in that category, in that caliber, has been busy, submitting those documentations matters. These are some of the. It's not about proclamation of Biafra. It's about when it is being recognized, how many countries are going to indicate interest, and those documents you are seeing, that have been submitted, for recognition, has to go with a lot of diplomacy, has to go with a lot of treaties, have to go with a lot of bilaterals, have to go with a lot of agreements. And that is why you see the way it is going in that, and it has been long, yes, because the Ibrahim Traore and the Russian land that it was Ibrahim Traore who also facilitated the Vladimir Putin final support for the recognition of Biafra as a nation. So he trended, he added value. Abraham Traore, having identified and made a lot of statements about Nnamdi Kanu in the past, but you can see what is actually coming is bigger, better, and more, significant that Aso Rock is currently in shock. There's so much crisis within the Aso Rock, surroundings currently now, because the Biafran quest is getting more international momentum on daily basis. They never saw it coming. The guys who are, formidably pushing for recognition of a nation that have existed and is still existing, where the allies of Biafra till today have not renounced their alliance up to this moment. So what we are asking is very simple, very clear, that in as much as Israel cannot live with Hamas, and as much as in New York they cannot be able to live with the impression that there's an Islamic agenda in the United States, then why would somebody tell the Biafrans to live with Boko Haram? So it's not possible. So the agitation and solidarity for Biafra has taken an international diplomatic angle. That's why you see powerful leaders around the world, indicating in preparation that nobody should be taken away, because the fear is that they don't want a particular country to be overwhelming or seen to have hijacked Biafra in the process. Everybody wants to be part of what is going to come. And remember that Biafrans themselves, as individuals, have impacted the world so much.
What would you also say? Why is the Ohanaeze youth pressuring Donald Trump? What is their reasons for pressuring Donald Trump?
It's very clear, unfortunately, they feel that Donald Trump has actually given up. Yes, based on his last statement, that there's nothing like terrorism again, and that America has been able to quash the act of terror in Nigeria. That was a very, I would not say it's an unfortunate statement to have come from one of my favorite presidents in the world. But I felt bad when Donald Trump actually, made that statement. And they came out very clearly because, the Igbo people are the people that represent the Christendom in this country. They have the largest Christian community in Nigeria, the Igbo people. So anything about attacks on Christian, you know, they have a major impact on them psychologically and otherwise. And that is why that when U.S. government said they are closely, you know, Randy Moore made that statement, they are monitoring the Nigerian presidential election. You know, and it's not today that United States of America has been monitoring Nigerian election, or the international community, the EU, have been monitoring Nigerian election. You know, but what we are seeing is that, you know, the proactiveness on the reality and ground, and that's what Ohaneze youth leader is saying, that, you know, you cannot be doing this and pretend as if you do not know that somebody was unjustly caged by Nigerian government. I'm talking about Nnamdi Kanu. That at this point in time, what the U.S. government would have done is to order for the immediate release of unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, just like what they did to Sunday Jackson, that was, you know, sentenced to death. But we don't know whether it was the same because of this narrative that all of a sudden we saw the appeal court changing the narrative about Nnamdi Kanu's case, you know, quashing the life imprisonment by James Omotosho and Bola Ahmed Tinubu unfortunate government. Then, and secondly, we saw Bilikisu Aliu, the appeal court judge, coming out also to dismantle the cross appeal by Aworowo, what they call him, of the federal government prosecutor, who also demanded that Nnamdi Kanu be sentenced to death. You know, so I'm telling you that what you are seeing in the appeal court, you know, it's not that the appeal court want to give Nnamdi Kanu judgment. It's because of the exposure of the atrocities that have been committed by the Nigerian judiciary that made them to pretend over this issue of Nnamdi Kanu, because the international community, what the pressure is just, you know, too much and just very much overwhelming.
All right, so we also heard Ngozi Orabueze still saying that he has written letters to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stop invading the Biafra land. What does this also mean?
It's a direct signal, because Biafra has become a sovereign nation, you know, and that what we are waiting for is the recognition of Biafra by the nations, powerful nations around the world, and that is a direct, you know, message to Asura to stop deploying that. You know, you have to keep them on their toes, and that's what it means. You know, have to checkmate their excesses, and you can see all manner of, you know, military now springing up in Biafraland, you know, in almost every nook and cranny. And but this is something Nnamdi Kanu foresaw and was able to put up ESN in the process. But, you know, the government want to show that they are government, you know, but it has not paid brought any dividend. They are not killing themselves, and that's what the Northerners want to see, and that's what an average Northerner is happy about, because for you to destroy an Igbo, you have to use an Igbo to destroy an Igbo, and that was a genuine, you know, advice by Kumi. Now you can see what is happening in Bufago or Vilgachi and all those manner of rubbish everywhere, you know, and does not bring sanity to the Biafraland. So on that note, Ngozi Orabueze is mandating the federal government of Nigeria to begin the complete dismantling of whatever they have in terms of invasion in that place, to leave immediately before it is too late. Because when any day Biafra is really recognized by the powerful nations around the world as expected, there will be no exit, there will be no entry.
All right, so what would you also say are the reason why the federal government is now putting more pressure not to allow Nnamdi Kanu come out?
Yes, I think they will definitely comply. The Israeli ambassador, you know, Michael Friedman, visited Nnamdi Kanu, you know, why after the appeal court victory, you know, and we also believe that Nnamdi Kanu has been moved from Sokoto prison to a location, you know, where the federal government only pending when, you know, modalities will be worked out, and a final judgment from the appeal. If the federal government are not going to, you know, appeal that government judgment or take it to, you know, the Supreme Court at the end of the day. But that notwithstanding, as it stands now, they do not have any option than to obey the pressure coming from the US government and the Congress.
All right, so what would you say to Biafrans as it stands now? What should Biafrans do so as to ensure that this struggle keeps on?
Everybody should just be formidable, should be focused, and celebrate Chukwu Akike Abiyama for Nnamdi Kanu, someone he never gave up, jettison anything that Nnamdi Kanu jettisons, including the SDOS rubbish, shadow rubbish. They should go pack their load and go away and give us space, Yes, I would also celebrate Simon Ekpa for being very loyal and consistent, even though at a point people misinterpreted his activities. But it has become very clear because the wind has blown now. Everybody, everything has become very crystal clear. I want to tell you that Nnamdi Kanu did not compromise the Biafran struggle. If you had compromised the Biafran struggle, we wouldn't be talking about him being celebrated all over the world, celebrated in the Congress, celebrated in the Knesset, celebrated in Italy, Rome, Brazil, Australia, Italy, many countries around the world. Even in Burkina Faso today, Russia has joined the League of Nations seeking recognition of Biafra.